like that, your college football regular season is in the books. Well, when I'm recording this, not technically, because Notre Dame's still playing, but we know they're going to win. Welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and tonight it is an instant reaction from Rivalry Week, college football. I set our back-to-back instant reaction videos. We did one last night discussing Georgia A&M, Georgia and winning and A&M losing and Texas in the playoff. We have some more clarification on who is going to the conference championships. We have some chaos in the ACC. We will talk about that. The game was very, I guess you could say, anticlimactic. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Oklahoma getting a scare. We will talk about the Iron Bowl, obviously. And we will also talk about the college football playoff. And what I think the committee's gonna do in terms of some of these teams and how much chaos can unfold with only 10 games happening next weekend. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start at the top. Ohio State beats Michigan 27-9. Ohio State gets revenge. It's 2,000 some days they hadn't beat them. Michigan beat them 4 straight times. It's in the big house. Ohio State just dominated. This is a historic defense all time in terms of numbers. You just got to tip your, honestly, you just got to tip your cap. Ohio State was significantly better. And look, this is a group of guys that have not played in Indianapolis. This is a group of guys that have not beat Michigan. They finally have a chance to do that. Michigan effectively eliminated from the college football playoff their season. They'll go to a bowl, but after that, their season is over. Ohio State now is basically the season really starts for them next week, as they will play Indiana, who beat Purdue last night. We talked about that and how they clinched in number 1 versus 2 for the Big Ten championship game, the number 1 seed in the CFP. Neither team, IU hasn't won the Big Ten since '67. Ohio State has even played in the Big Ten title game since the pandemic year. But later on this week, we will preview that game. But yeah, look, Ohio State, they dominate. I early in the game, you thought, oh my goodness, is this going to happen again? Michigan start off with like a big run. They start a big run. First drive ends in a field goal. They come back. Sand throws an interception, and you're just thinking, is Michigan going to go up 10-0 and put pressure on Ohio State? And to me, their defense standing up and only allowing field goal there was really the turning point in the game, which was huge. Because again, you feel like, okay, if Michigan scores here, it's 10-0. Maybe Ohio State starts to panic. There's gonna be some game pressure on them, and it just didn't happen that way. It just did not happen that way. And props to Ohio State. People are talking about the touchback and how, or what should have been a touchback and how that wasn't a touchdown or whatever. To me, didn't make a difference. Michigan couldn't do anything on offense. I put in my notes, I thought Michigan coach scared. I thought they tried to run the ball, couldn't. The quarterback, we have to be honest about it. You paid $12 million for a quarterback who is immensely talented and who we've seen flashes that could be a great quarterback, probably will be the top prospect in the 2020. I think it would be either 27 or 28 draft, one of those two drafts. Probably be the top quarterback because he's that talented. And through the first half of the game, you had him throw, I think it was like 4 times, 4 or 6 times, some low. Bryce Underwood, I'm going to be honest, has not gotten that much better. He hasn't. And that's not on him. That's on the coaching staff. They have not developed him. And you can say this is also the receiving room isn't the greatest, but they didn't utilize it. I think Bryce Underwood is immensely talented, but you basically just wasted a year. I mean, I don't want to say, look, the reps and everything that is valuable. I don't want to say wasting a year, but in terms of championship contention, look, I always felt like the next year was going to be the year for Michigan to kind of go out and really be strong contenders. We'll see. They gotta get better up front in the portal. Gotta get some receivers. But overall, the coaching just needs to be better. But this game to me is not about them. It's about Ohio State. Ohio State beat them in every facet. You know what they also did? They threw the football this year. They threw the ball, and that's why they won. Also, they were able to run the ball. But Bo Jackson, the one thing about Ohio State, maybe the last couple years, their flaw has been against teams that even last year for some points, it's just like you couldn't run the ball. Even you had kids at Henderson who were doing great in the NFL, still couldn't run the ball, and it was at times, and it was very confusing. This year, there was a moment where you're like, well, they're kind of one dimensional. They struggle to run the ball, and then this guy Bo Jackson just comes along, and he's just running it down their throats again. They ran for 186 yards. They out Michigan. Like, that's what they did in this football game. That drive, that field goal drive, where they went like 20 plays, poetic. It was poetic for them because that is what Michigan has done the last couple of years. That's what they've done. Bully them. And Ohio State, they were not going to be denied today. That's what it came down to. Defense, amazing. No team has scored more than 16 points. So I genuinely don't know who Indiana's going to have its work cut out for them. Indiana, again, that's a heck of a football team over there as well. But Ohio State, man, just looks like the most complete team. I mean, and people could say they weren't tested. Maybe they're so good that they just, I don't know, man. They just incredible. Uh Jeremiah Smith, he had that one touchdown catch. Didn't do much else. Didn't really have to. Carnell Tate had that one touchdown catch. Michigan, basically, they were like, let's keep it close here. No. Let's keep it close to the fourth quarter. Wasn't because your offense couldn't score. Yeah, look, Ohio State dominated. They were better in all three phases, and Day gets the monkey off his back. How about the last 365 days for Ryan Day? On this weekend last year, they talked about should he be fired? What's next? Oh, Ohio State should not bring him back. All he's done is go to a national title game, win it, and then just haven't lost since. And now he's on the verge of winning the Big Ten again. So They had they're 16-0 since last year's game. That was the game that flipped the switch, and Ohio State is back to what Ohio State's being, a tough physical football team that can beat you running the ball, but can also throw the ball all around the lot. Now that defense is historic, right, on a historic pace right now. They're so good up front. Look, the Big Ten title game is going to be absolute cinema, in my opinion. We'll see how that ends up in due time next week in Indianapolis, Indiana, Lucas Oil Stadium. But Ohio State dominates in crazy in crazy fashion. Not crazy fashion, anticlimactic fashion. They dominate. They move on to Indianapolis next weekend to face the Indiana Hoosiers. We will be in for a treat. Let's go to the Steel City here, where Pitt gets dominated by Miami 38-7, and Miami has won their last 4 games, and Notre Dame as of right now at the half is up 35-3, so it looks like they're going to win as well, which means the committee has got a decision to make, and the committee's going to have a lot of thinking, because the selection show is obviously next Sunday, and the bowls get announced, and if you make the playoffs and all that. Committee's going to have some thinking to do. With Miami, we'll talk about Vandy, obviously Notre Dame. Miami blew the doors off of Pitt. Wasn't close. There, people just Twitter talking about stat padding. Don't look at Twitter. No stat pad. Yeah. Look, Carson Beck in this game, really good. He really confident. Pitt was very undisciplined. That didn't help. But I really did feel like Miami, they just from jump, they dominated the line of scrimmage. Malachi Tony in this game was a man on a mission. They just dominate this. This is not where the drama took place. Obviously, there was some last night, and the early window did not produce a whole lot of drama. Miami is now 10-2. Look, Pitt, good season, but couldn't run the ball today. Heinz Steichel was under tons of pressure. They struggle against to block 4-man rushes at times this season. They've struggled with pressure as well. Packages. So look, Miami, they just dominated start to finish. Look, I know there was a point there where it's like, oh, it's 10-7. It's just going to be a defensive dogfight, and Miami just outscores them 28-0 rest of the way. It dominant win. Now here is the question. I put in my notes. I said Miami should be a playoff team because, in my opinion, I understand the loss to SMU isn't going to look that good now. And then obviously the loss to Louisville. Those are 2 8-4 teams. But that's another top 25 win by for the committee, because they gave Oregon credit for beating Penn State. So if we're still giving credit for obviously games, then they beat Florida State when they were in the 5, and when they didn't fall off a cliff, they beat Florida State. They destroyed South Florida, and they've been consistently in and out of the top 25 all year. They're gonna finish 9-3. And obviously they beat Notre Dame. Yet we will get into that. So that's 3 top 25. That's 3 top 25 wins. And then they just destroyed Pitt. So there's 4 top 25 wins. So they have 4 top 25 wins, which is more than the Irish, who they've only been 2. They've been 4. And so Miami has a better resume as of now, and they beat them. And they beat Notre Dame. The only thing Notre Dame has is better law. I don't know what else to tell you. It, Now I think they should both be in, frankly. But if it comes down to one or the other, you gotta put Notre Dame. You gotta Notre Dame. You gotta put Miami in. I'm sorry. We cannot. This sport cannot be in a place where head to head just does not matter. We cannot live in that world. We can't do it. I don't care who you are. We cannot do that. We just can't do it. Miami is, I know they had to stumble. But outside of that, they've dominated pretty much everybody else they play. Miami should be in over Notre Dame because I don't care when that game was played. Week 0, week 2, week 3, week 6, 7, week 20, 11. If that game happened in the season, that game matters. I'm sorry, we saw them play on the field. By the way, I think Notre Dame is the better team right now. But my opinion on that, I'd pick Notre Dame if they played today. That does not, my opinion on that does not matter because we saw a game that happened in Hard Rock Stadium to start the season, and Miami won. I didn't just imagine that. That game happened. Like, that game happened. I'm not going to sit up here and be, well, week 1 games don't matter. Baloney, bull crap. They matter. They absolutely matter. We cannot, oh, well, head to head matters here, but, oh, because we want a certain team in, it doesn't matter here. Bull. It doesn't work like that. So if it came, by the way, I feel like they should both be in. With there could be one of them's gonna get screwed potentially with the ACC again. Conference championship weekend, there are 2 games that people won't look at as impactful. They'll be impactful. We'll obviously discuss that later in the vid. But yeah, look, Miami wins. They dominate. They should be in over Notre Dame. I stand by you. I Like, they should be in. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Again, if you're a Notre Dame fan and you're listening to this, you, I understand. I understand. I understand what you feel like you're the better team right now. I think you are, but again, head to head at some point has to matter. That the bad precedent to set, and also we have to be honest about it. Head to head is like the reason BY is over Utah is because of the head to head game right now. Like, it's because of the head to head. Oklahoma beat Alabama. I think Alabama's better than Oklahoma still, but that does not matter because there was a game played in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Oklahoma won. It's as simple as that. Alabama's going to the SEC title game, not Oklahoma, but they won. When you have the same amount of losses and your resumes are comparable, head to head is the tiebreaker. That's what it comes down to. The committee's going to make this harder than it needs. They're trying to maneuver away. There's no maneuvering that you should have to do. Miami should be over Notre Dame, plain and simple. That there's nothing else to it. All right, let's go. Actually, no, let's not go there. BYU and Texas Tech. I didn't go over this last night. I thought both had to win the clinch. Apparently, because Arizona State lost, they both clinched anyway. That's your Big 12 title game. It's a rematch. It's a rematch of what happened. I think it might have been a couple weeks back. Obviously, I don't remember which specific week, but Texas Tech destroyed BYU. The thing about that game is I believe Texas Tech should be in no matter what, even if they lose that game. If they lose that game, things get real interesting. Obviously, the ACC, there's some chance for chaos, but again, we will get into that in another video. Okay, in later on in the pod. Okay, let's get to it. Eugene, Oregon beats Washington 26-14 to clinch a home game in the CFP. And yeah, Oregon, this was crucial for them to get this win. They're now officially in the CFP. They finished 11-1, 8-1 in the Big Ten. They are in the college football playoff. They will have a home game right now where their position is very good because they will either get the ACC champ or one of the two Group of Five champs. Spoiler alert, we will get into that. But Oregon in this game, I thought the defense was great. I thought the defense. I know they gave up a couple plays, but overall they forced turnovers. I know the run game got going a little bit for Washington. And look, it got close there. It was like 19-14. Again, Oregon had a 2-score lead. I felt like the entire game, but then that happened. It was 19-14, and you're thinking, if Washington gets a stop and gets the ball back, could we be on the verge of some more chaos? And it didn't happen, obviously. Malik Benson, that big touchdown catch, got Dante Moore the last 2 weeks. Oregon is peaking at the right time. I know, look, people wrote them off a little bit after, Penn State fell off. Oh, you got dominated by Indiana at home. You're not legit. No, they're still legit. Oregon's still Oregon. Are they as good as last year? No. But they're pretty dang on good. They're pretty good. What will be interesting to me is with the A&M loss, do they move above them? That will be interesting to me. Again, Tuesday night is going to be dramatic because I have no idea what these rankings are going to look like. The top two is going to be the top two, but then after that, I got no clue. The first round bye is going to be interesting as well. But yeah, Oregon, big time win here. Look, Dante Moore's been dialed the last couple of weeks. Their offense, it ran smoother against USC. Against USC, it was just a machine. It was like bang, bang, boom, boom, boom. 10-yard throw. 10-yard run. Big play, explosive play. Today it wasn't like that. Washington's got a good defense. But that's a tough place to play. On the road. On the road. Die on the road. Really, really tough environment against Washington. That's a good football team. That's a good win for them. They find a way to get it done. Dan Lanning and company. I think the one thing that I take away from this game is that Oregon mentally, physically tough. So yeah. Oh, by the way, I've got ESPN on while I'm doing this. It says Lane Kiffin to hold a team meeting Sunday at 9 a.m. And they said the decision on future expected to be released following the meeting. Guys, he's leaving. That's enough. Look, I've been waiting on a decision all day today. Look. I'm not gonna give him any more time. I already talked about it in yesterday video. It was simple. God bless Marty Smith for being there all day. God bless him. But that's it. Oregon, great win. Now, let's go down to Norman, Oklahoma in a game that was very, very, very ugly. Oklahoma beats LSU. They survive the Tigers 17-13. this game, if you watched this game and you were a fan of either team, or if you were just a neutral like me, God bless you. But mainly, God bless you. This game was incredibly frustrating to watch. At least from an offensive perspective, Oklahoma's has gone from 6-2 to they had lost two of their last three. They had lost to Texas, and then they had lost that game out in Ole Miss. And is it a are they dead situation? And they've routed off four in a row to go to the college football playoff. That defense is real, and that defense is going to keep them in any game because of how good they are. That defense is superb, week in, week out. The issue is the offense. They don't got it, y'all. The offense, John Mateer is at. They still can't run the ball. But they genuinely still struggle to run the ball. I genuinely don't know how. Maybe in the playoff. I don't know. Even if they win a game, if they get to that quarterfinal, like to me, if they play Ohio State, they are gonna get smoked because they just have that defense is great, but they just have no offense. Again, in this game, the defense saved them. And look, I'm a guy that I don't really care how you win all the time. I really don't. Like Oklahoma wins because they have a great defense. It don't always have to look pretty. It doesn't have to be like Oklahoma. They're not all bells and whistles. They're not trick play. It's not Lincoln Riley, Oklahoma, where yes, I thought at times they were physical, but at other times they were in terms of the physicality standpoint. It's not, oh, we're throwing for 400 a game. Oh, we're running for 100 as well. We got Kyler who can run this offense. We got trick plays. Woohoo! We can run a double reverse pass look at our receivers. He's throwing to Baker for a touchdown. It's not that this Oklahoma ain't that. This is a physical, tough-minded Oklahoma that, yes, offensively they're a little challenged, but defensively their front seven gets after you. They got good linebackers and their DBs cover well, and they turn you over. This is an Oklahoma team that's going to get up in your face. They're going to punch you in the mouth, and they're going to keep punching you, and they're going to take punches, and they're not going to quit. And this is the thing about this game. I felt like LSU really botched this game because this is really a two-play game. In Oklahoma, this is really a two-play. The screen pass and then the touchdown at the end of the game. I think both to Satania. I know the Satania had the screen. The other one was to Deion Burks. The screen, okay, I see that happen. The Deion Burks touchdown. How is he that wide open? You have to ask that question. I'd have to go back and look at the tape. How is he that wide open? Just how? Genuinely don't know how you leave Deion Burks that wide open. I don't know how you do it. To me, that was the two-play game. And in the game where points were in, Oklahoma fans were getting frustrated that Brent Venables wasn't being aggressive. Bro, that offense, he was just like, bro, I'm going to put it on the back of my defense. We're going to get it back to the offense, and then we'll see what happens. And the offense did well. Look, you got to give a lot of credit to Brent Venables. This is a team that felt dead. This was the hardest schedule in the SEC. Maybe not harder than Florida, but hardest schedule. One of the hardest schedules. You gotta play Michigan. You gotta play Texas and Red River. Auburn, we thought that's a ranked team. Gotta play them. Gotta play Ole Miss at home. Ole Miss is really good. We thought South Carolina would be better, but okay. Gotta go on the road to Knoxville. Gotta play LSU at home in this season. Gotta go on the road to Norman, Oklahoma. Gotta play ranked Missouri. You're like 9-3 and you barely missed the playoff. That's great. Well, Venables is 10-2 and he's going to the college football playoff and will have a home game. And to me, that deserves Coach of the Year consideration. It really does, especially when you were 6-2. Mateer had the thumb. You felt, and he hasn't really been the same since the thumb surgery. It felt dead in the water, and then you go on the road to Knoxville and win. Okay, you got one. Then you have to go on the road to Tuscaloosa. They do that. And then obviously they finish it out. They only scored 17 in each ball game, and their defense has given up 13-6 in the last 2 weeks. But you got to give Venables credit, bro. And this defense, honestly, I don't know how you feel. Them and Indiana's defense, to me, is neck and neck. I know Ohio State's just their class above defensively, but you can make the argument this is second best defense in America, and they've been consistently that all season. They've been incredible. I know the Ole Miss game, that was bad, but that's really their only horrific game of the year where it's like they didn't play that well. Look, I thought after they beat Michigan week 2, okay, I came on here and said Oklahoma's legit. Yeah, they're going to the playoff. Now, again, depending on who they're matched up with, right now it would be Notre Dame. Well, that I don't love that. But again, that defense can keep, if that offense can just be somewhat competent, if they can find a little bit of a rhythm, and Mateer can just manage the game, that's a hard team to beat. That's a hard team to beat because their defense turns you over. They get after you. They're so good. But when Mateer has a game like he does today, it's frustrating because it's like, man, in a game where your defense isn't giving up hardly anything, just protect the ball, manage the game, and let's get out of here with a win. And you thought for a second there, is Oklahoma really going to blow a playoff opportunity with this defense? And look, they found it. They found it late, and then their defense makes the stop late to end the game. Look, from an LSU perspective, you're just waiting on the Kiffin decision, and then you're like, let's ride. This game, obviously, you want to finish the season out strong. If you could, that's what you wanted to do. They did in a way. So yeah, look, Frank Wilson, those guys, they still played hard for him and all that. Tough loss for them, but Oklahoma's going to the CFP. Now, let's go into the Battle of Tennessee between Vandy and Tennessee Volunteers. Vandy wins 45-24. Diego Pavia, man, stud, maybe in New York. This offense today, I know at times they had a couple possessions where they turned it over and you're going, what is happening? It felt like they could do no wrong. 45 points, throwing the ball all around the lot. Run game was working. Last year, they got boat raced in the game. This year, they boat raced Tennessee. 10 wins. Clark Lee's got an extension. The playoff, we'll see. Pavia was incredible. He had 2 touchdowns. And obviously he had the 2 picks. But his legs were a big part. I mean, he had 165 yards with his legs. Incredible. He was incredible. And then Cedric Alexander, 3 touchdowns on the ground. They ran for 314 yards. I mean, just did whatever they wanted to Tennessee, and Tennessee just had no answer. Tennessee had no answer. They looked 7 to 10 on third down, better in the criticals. They almost had 600 yards of total offense. A part of me wants Vandy to make the playoffs because I want to see Pavia in there, and I want to see this offense in there. But I just don't think there'll be enough room for them personally. Look, they'll probably jump Utah after this win at 13. Miami will probably jump BYU, which if you're Andy, do you jump? That's the interesting. Do you jump BYU? I'm not sure. That's an interesting debate to have. But I just looked at 10-2 and 6-2. I just don't think they will. I just don't think they have enough on the resume to justify them being in the CFP. I just don't feel. I think they needed a lot more to happen in front of them, and they didn't. I think Bama losing would have probably opened the door. I just don't feel. Look, it's still a great season for them. Look, you're gonna look. You're. It's gonna be a cluster of 10-2 teams that thinks they're gonna have an argument for those last two spots. I named them out yesterday. To me, in turn, because you know who the eight are gonna be. Like if we just map this out, you know, it's we're gonna have, and this is obviously as of today. As of today, right now, here's who I think we got. We got Indiana, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. That's 8. The winner of North Texas in Tulane will go, which means we'll have 9. Which means we'll have 9. 10, 10 if Virginia beats Duke, which I assume because they've already played them, which I assume it's a rematch, which I assume they'll do, will be 10. If not, then it'll be a second group of 5, which will be James Madison. So that would mean it will be 10. So we have about 6 teams vying for 2 spots. We have my and even then, okay, even if I do this again, hold on, let me do this again. We have, because I don't think I mentioned Alabama. So let me just do this. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia. Wait, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Alabama. Then we'll have the group of 5 winner. And then let's just assume Virginia beats Duke. That's 11. So essentially, you have 6 teams vying for 1 spot. So you'll have 6 teams vying for 1 spot. So essentially, you're gonna have. To me, Texas isn't legit. Texas is done. You can't lose to Florida on the road. It's done. So to me, it comes down to Utah, Notre Dame, Miami, Utah, Notre Dame, Miami, Vandy, Michigan. So Utah, Notre Dame, Miami, and Vandy. And if the BYU Texas Tech game now will get interesting, very interesting. to be that gets into it because if BYU wins, that's it. Like to me, because I think Bama's in regardless. I really do. I don't think you're leaving them out after the win tonight. I just don't see it. So if BYU wins, I believe Texas Tech is probably a lock no matter what. Which means if that happens, Notre Dame and Miami are out. That would probably be the deal. I would assume. Again, a lot depends on the ACC. It, it's crazy here, but yeah, I don't consider Texas a real. No, can't lose Florida. But Vandy, look, great game by them. Should they be in? We'll see. Also, I want to touch on Tennessee for a second of this hype. I know I've touched on it in previous videos, but bro, the only guy that should be on the hot seat is the DC. And Tennessee fans, this has been such a weird year. 8-4. I kind of thought that would be your record before when Nico left. Then the quarterback was better. The offense looked real smooth. The offense was very good this season. But in big games, they just found ways to lose. If they make a kick against Georgia, they're playing today for a chance to go to the playoff. They could have beat Georgia and Oklahoma. Those are two games they probably should have won, which will probably put them in the playoff right now. 8-4. Your defense just they haven't been able. One year the offense is great, but the defense isn't good. Well, last year defense was great. Offense is at. So they gotta find a way to put it together. Hopefully they can get the defense together. Keep Aguilar. I know they're gonna have to play Brazil. They're gonna have to go in the portal and do that. But I don't think you're not firing Josh Heupel. Let's just stop that. He's a heck of a coach. But it's a tough end to the season, and they got their butts kicked, and Vandy's for real. Shout out. Now let's go to this ACC, man. What the heck? Uh, SMU loses to Cal, which means Duke is in the ACC title game. Duke, yes, 7-5. Duke is in the ACC title game. Virginia beat Virginia Tech, which means Saturday night, 8 o'clock on ABC. Things get it very interesting. Because if Virginia wins, they're in and that's it. But if they lose and Duke wins, that opens up the door for a second group of 5. Now, if JMU loses, I've got nothing. At this point, I don't know what you do. But let's say JMU, they win the Sun Belt, winner of the American, be in. So you'd have two group of 5. Those last two spots, those 11, 12 seeds, will be taken by a group of 5 representatives. Now, if Virginia wins, then obviously the winner of North Texas and Tulane will be in the conference championship. That game will be at Tulane, 8 o'clock on ABC. James Madison obviously plays on ESPN and Troy at home. They obviously are going to be rooting hard for Duke. Gary and Mensah playing in a conference title game. If we get two group of 5 in the playoffs, that's going the sport that's going to cause major changes to the sport, in my opinion. And that's going to change. That's going to cause major changes to the sport. And that's really just how I look at it because, and I'm already of the two group of 5 teams in the sport. Like, come on, y'all. But yeah, and these conference title games, like we don't have any open. We have a couple of opening lines. We'll see the opening lines tomorrow. Just to see this BYU and Texas Tech. The opening line is Texas Tech minus 12.5. Ohio State, Indiana. The opening line is Ohio State minus 5.5. But yeah, look, the ACC. People are saying we should change the rule. Gotta let Miami in. No, And I know I was just on the Miami train to be in the CFP, and I still stand by that. But no, I'm not taking an opportunity away from Duke that they earned. They earned the right to go play in the ACC title game. Yes, there was chaos, but they won enough games to do that. They have 5 losses, yeah, sure, but they earned it. They earned the right to go play for the ACC championship and have something for that program and do something special. They earned that right. I'm not changing a rule because you don't like the team that's there and you feel like the team that shouldn't be there. You know what? Georgia Tech had a chance to go there. What did they do? They pissed down their leg against NC State and against Pitt. What did Pitt had a chance? They pissed down their leg today. Virginia didn't piss down their leg. That's why they're there. They played a bad team and they handled business. SMU had a chance. You know what they did? Wake Forest on the road, pissed down their leg. Tonight, pissed down their leg. Tough loss. It's the way it goes. It's college football. I'm not changing a rule just because you don't like that 5-loss team gets to get in. You know what? They handled business against Wake Forest today. They won that game, which means they get to go to the ACC title game and play for a chance at a conference championship. They won enough games. It's not their fault other teams couldn't handle their business. Oh, well, we got to put Miami in. No, Miami, don't lose at home coming off a bye to Louisville. When one of those 2 games against Louisville and SMU, and you're in the conference title game, and you have a chance to control your own destiny. But no, now it's in the hands of the committee, and we don't know what the heck they're going to do. So no, we're not changing a rule. You are going to watch Darian Mensah against Chandler Morris in prime time in the ACC title game, and you're going to like it. Period. In the story. And if you don't like it, Indiana and Ohio State will be on. Watch that game. Why we always got to change just because, and I saw that on Twitter. And look, Nicole, I don't know how to say her last name, but she's from NBC. She's a great journalist. Not the greatest take by her, but that mini rant wasn't really directed at her at all. Like, she probably doesn't even know what the show is. It wasn't directed at her at all. I'm just so sick and tired of people just like, oh, we have to change this rule. We have to do this. No, we don't. We're not, a conference isn't changing a whole rule because you don't like the team that's in it. Look, Duke earned a shot to go play in Charlotte for a chance at the ACC championship. Virginia played them early in the year. They handled business. It's hard to beat a team twice. They're going to have to beat them again. And Virginia has a golden opportunity to do something huge and go to the playoff. They win, they're in. That's kind of where I stand on that. ACC chaos. I mean, look, my issue isn't with like them going to the ACC title game. My issue is with the playoff. We may be in a situation where 2 group of 5 teams are gonna be in. And look, and because the ACC stinks. Look, I believe if you are in the group of 5, you need to have requirements. You need to be ranked at least in that top 12 to 15 area. Like, the fact that Tulane with 2 losses even may get in is a little shaky. I mean, North Texas may be ranked by the committee. We'll see. Look, American's a good conference, but then JMU, we want JMU win. Why? So JMU can go get stomped by Texas Tech by 30? Ain't nobody trying to watch that. And look, if you deserve to be in the playoff, you deserve to be in the playoff. Like, just because I don't want to watch something doesn't mean they don't deserve to go. But in this situation, we gotta set something for the group of five where you have to be this, and this. And what's crazy about this is somebody is going a team that's actually going to be worthy of a playoff spot is going to get knocked out because we gotta let the group of five in. Like last year, you didn't hear this talk. You know why? Because Boise State was top 10. They were in, I think they might have been ninth. And when the final rankings came out for before the playoffs started. Now, they shouldn't have been seeded third, but that's what it was. They were ninth. So again, this whole the playoff system it still needs a few tweaks, but it's not completely broken. We don't need to expand it. We don't need to do any of that. Again, we need to be changing the academic calendar because of this stuff. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, and let's talk about the Iron Bowl before we get out of here. Alabama takes care of Auburn 27-20. This game was absolutely crazy. Ty Simpson, I can't say enough about this guy, man. You cannot say enough about this guy, man. Like, I know at times in this game, like, the struggle was real in terms of throwing the football, but but just on that final drive, using his legs, obviously, we gotta talk about the board, the final drive, the cojones to just say, you know what, 4th and 2, we're going. Even though a field goal would have still won you the game, the cojones to say, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it because I want my players to decide the outcome of this. And Simpson to Horton, 3 touchdowns. Horton hat trick tonight was big. I thought this was the best they've ran the ball maybe all year. The Oklahoma game, maybe they ran it a little bit better. Ran for 158. Look, this Iron Bowl was crazy. Also, Auburn, DJ Durkin, I think, could be promoted, which, if he is, good for him. I think that would be a good hire for Auburn because he really got him up to play tonight. It's just they couldn't finish. Can he recruit? Let's see. Ashton Daniels obviously still needs some work. Cam Coleman, we're fumbling the ball. Just Auburn's finding ways to lose these games. Like, they're right there. Talent wise, they can compete with anybody. Like, they went toe to toe with Georgia. They went toe to toe with Bama here. They went toe to toe with A&M. Like, they gotta find a way next season. They gotta find a way to win these games. They're really not that far off. Truthfully, they're not. Durkin has to find a way to win these games next season, and all of is on him. Obviously, Hugh Freeze. The game that's keeping them out of a bowl, the Kentucky game, the game Hugh Freeze got fired. That's not on him. Offense was horrendous, but yeah, I thought Ashton Daniels was okay in this game. Look, though, I feel bad for the Auburn receivers because with this quarterback play, you're just like, man, if these dudes had a better quarterback, how good would Auburn's offense be? And look, I think Ashton Daniels has potential. He's not there yet, obviously. We'll see what happens. Will he stay? Does he hit the portal? I think he stays. Is this DJ Durkin guy? Did Durkin go to the portal? We'll see. But back to Alabama. Defense made plays when you needed it. Defense made plays. This team, though, is still so inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get a team that's firing on all cylinders, or you don't. You just don't know. Bray Hubbard made probably the 2 biggest plays of the Alabama season. He forced the fumble at the end, and then he got the interception. Those 2 plays or plays where Auburn may go down, maybe going down and looking at scoring a touchdown, and he makes those two plays, and that's going to be the ultimate difference in the football game. That's going to be the ultimate difference in the football game. So look, Alabama's going to Atlanta, and destiny. What's the quote? You can't run from it. Destiny all arise the same, or something like that. Whatever they say, because destiny is here because Alabama and Georgia in the SEC title game again. They played in 2021. They played in 2023. They'll play again in 2025. It looks like it's an every other year deal at this point. Yeah, we'll preview that. Look, some early thoughts on that. Obviously, look, Georgia, I think it's better defensively than what they were. Ty Simpson, he can't start out 15 for 15 or whatever he was. Just can't have that to start the game. Obviously, the run game is crucial. The game's gonna be that game is gonna be won in the criticals. How on third and fourth down, is Ty Simpson going to deliver again, or is Georgia's defense going to rise up? Are they going to be better in man-to-man coverage? Are we not going to have stupid penalties? What's going to happen? Or is it going to be more of the same and Alabama just wins another SEC title, the first under the board? It conference championship Saturday next weekend. We got to start it. Obviously, JMU plays Troy in the Sun Belt. That has playoff implications potentially. We've got North Texas at Tulane. John Summerall. We'll see what happens with his future, but he could be going to the playoff. And then obviously we have Texas Tech and BYU in the Big 12. Georgia and Bama in the SEC. In the ACC, we have obviously Duke and Virginia, and in the Big Ten, we have Ohio State and Indiana, the battle of number 1 versus number 2. That game's going to be talked about a lot. All right? This has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and until the next time, see ya.